Welcome back, WorldTube family. We're down here on the set of WorldTube. We've got a special friend, Peter Ziller from Ziller Industrial Repairs. We're going to have a go at pulsed and double pulsed MIG with aluminium.
So this here is a ProPulse 300 with a water-cooled gun with a water cooler. The machine has all 4 rolls for aluminum geared feeder. They all drive. There's grooves in every roller, so there's 8 contact points, all 8 are driven. We're running a 4043 wire, 1.2 millimeter, 3/64 diameter. And the water-cooled gun is good for 500 amps, 100% duty cycle. So here is a part of a menu list. It shows different wires. Black stainless, the purple is aluminum, 4043, 3/64, 100% argon pulse. Here's a symbol for double pulse manual. So the machine has some hot start options, crater fill options. Here's a wire speed, rate, material thickness, and this is like a trim function of arc length. And Clay and I agreed on a manual double pulse setting, which we have picked and ran a couple beats off camera, and we like the results of it.
So we've got some 1/4 inch coupons, 5 inches long. Here we're going to do some T-fillets, maybe a double pulse on one side, single pulse the other, but all manual settings.
And although there's pretty elaborate and sophisticated hot start options, you can actually pick the hot start time through a timer or trigger controlled, and you can also pick your hot start intensity and crater fill parameters. But instead of going through all this programming and committing to numbers before we do this, all we're gonna do is install a remote control on this gun, and this way we can make our own hot start, our own crater fill, and adjust our settings on the fly as we go by the looks of the puddle. It's a 14-pin Amphenol, kind of like a Miller, but the potentiometer is a 10K and the pinout is different than the Miller's. So in the way how you do this is, you see it's the R for remote control is on, and you do much like a TIG machine. You set this all the way up, and now you set your maximum that you want on your panel, and then the remote will go from whatever the minimum of that program is to the maximum. If you want less of a maximum because you want thinner material, you dial this down, and then it will go from whatever that maximum is to the minimum. And you heard, yeah, you heard the background just a smidge crackly, but I'm not gonna raise the arc voltage anymore. That was a function of this being an ice cold piece of aluminum. Now that it's warm, when you weld the other side, there's gonna be no crackling on the background.
Okay. Start back at 4.
Yeah, not quite full, like right about 400, yeah, right about there. So now arc shot. Good, I'll buy that.
So controllable.
And you see how the background wasn't crackly?
No.
That's all heat driven. We didn't preheat the part, and on the front side it came to bite us. On the back side, where we preheated by welding the other side, our settings were spot on.
And that's where that slide control is invaluable. You can just,
especially
as it heats up along, you're going to want to drop your amps, but you don't want to stop welding.
Yes, especially if you have an area of poor fit up. Yeah. Where with a spool gun, you're just gouging the walls of that hole or that gap you have. And with this, you can dial it down enough to fill it real nice.
Sputter it in. Yeah.
All right, so now we're turning double pulse off. So now it's single pulse only.
Single pulse.
Single pulse is a little bit hotter, so instead of starting at 440, I probably start at 400 on the front, and then start at like 375 on the back or so.
Yeah. I think I like the single pulse.
The single
better.
pulse is more controllable,
Yeah.
especially if you weld pipe.
Yeah.
The double pulse just looks nicer.
Yeah.
And also the double pulse, if you have large, thin sheets that you don't want to put too much heat in for warpage, the double pulse is cooler than the single pulse, so you have less warpage and distortion.
Yeah. You get that double pulse function.
Yes,
I
you
guess.
get the double pulse
Yeah.
function of less heat input.
Yeah. Awesome.
So we learned a couple things today. Single pulse is easier to control and it lays down nicer, more precise. The double pulse is cooler and looks better. We did a couple T-joints. What do you think about it?
Yeah. It's definitely a interesting technology with that double pulse. I enjoyed it. I've done a bit of just single pulse MIG, no double pulse before, so I liked it. Thanks for the opportunity.
And double pulse, you can pick standard settings from the factory. They kind of like one size fits all, more or less, or you can pick your own settings, which what we did. And really to dial this in right, it takes more than just 5 minutes. I mean, there is sort of an art to dialing this in too.
It worked great.
Clay, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Peter.
And then you guys, don't forget to watch WeldTube, subscribe on YouTube, go to our Instagram. If you want to see more on my channel, it's Zila, Z-I-L-A on YouTube, and Zila Welds on Instagram. And you guys have a good day.